Okay, I have the honor of being having a great conversation with Mr. Jean-Baptiste Joly, which is the director of the Akademie Schloss Solitude.
That's right.
And we will discuss a little bit of the specific project later, but I really want a comment or a reflection on what is the importance of artist residencies for creative arts, for cultural policy. How can we demonstrate and that importance? Because I think that's a very important discussion we need to have in our countries.
Yeah. So, if you compare the role of an artist residency with other cultural institutions, an artist residency doesn't fit with the three classic categories, which is conserving, that is the library or the museum, producing, that is the theater, or teaching, that is the school, the university. So these are the three very ancient cultural institutions since, I would say, ancient Greece. Right. An artist residency is not primarily there for conserving. There is a little bit of teaching, but it's rather mutual teaching between the people, but there is not a situation with the teacher and students. Fellows are teaching and learning at the same time. And it's a place of production, but the production is something else. The production is offering to people a time that belongs to them and not to the institution. It means the most precious thing you can offer to somebody in our nowadays hyper-modern society might be money, might be a roof above your head, but even more important is I give you time, and this time belongs to you. You deal with your time, and you are not depending on me telling you and to do this or that, or commissioning you or committing you for something. So this is the most important point. The time when you are a fellow here belongs to you, not to the institution. And when you are outside of this pressure of time, you enter in a gray zone of time where you can rethink, reinvent yourself as an artist, and where you can redefine your priorities, the necessities coming from the inside of your action and thoughts, and not from your reaction. In modern societies, we are all reacting to impulses, to questions, and we are not acting from inside. This is the quality of time we can offer in a residency. It's different. Second thing, which is I think also quite important. The second thing is that if you made a good selection for the people who will join your residency, you will bring people together who were not programmed to meet. You know, they come from different backgrounds, they come from different disciplines, especially here in Solitude, where we are extremely interested by very different disciplines, including artistic or scientific disciplines. Okay. And so an artist residency, if it has more than 2 or 3 studios, is able to connect people who are not supposed to meet. And we are the ones who know who should meet whom, because we have a kind of overview. We are a kind of observatory of what is happening in the macro, big picture. So, if you are here as a Latin American artist from, I don't know, poetry, and you meet a scientist who is from India, you are not supposed to meet from your biographies. So the changes that you saw. And this is the extreme power of artist residencies, that you can decide, yes, those people, they should meet. And they will open their mind because they have things in common and they don't know. So this is the second level. And the third level, which I think is at least as important, is that you create a network of people that will continue being in touch with you. And during the time of the residency, and this is also a crucial point, you have a loose contract with the artist that is in your residence. You say, I give you money and you have time and you have no obligation but being here, so we can rethink the relation between the artist and the institution. It's not like I commit you with a piece, or I buy a piece of art, or you have to write a piece, or you have to produce something. It's just, let's invent the kind of relation we could have.
It's a new kind of
And
relation.
the laboratory for the future of relations between artist and institution, which means between artist and society, is properly the artist residency. Because it's, you can do what you want. There can be nothing or there can be some. And let's think about how could be another way of thinking our relation, with a contract, without contract, in the grey zone of gentleman's agreement, which is always the most secure, or and when you go through this experience of inventing the relation between an artist and an institution, you prepare the future of culture in a society after the breakdown of all the relations from the art and cultural market. This is the future.
Great.
So, and now we continue. Now I was inside of the artist residency, between the residency and the artists who are joining. But an artist residency is part of a biotope. You are in a city, you are in a country, and what are the relations on that level between the residency, the artists you host, and the rest of the city and the cultural landscape around them? And we know that in countries that are, for example, entering into democracy, like for countries in Eastern Europe, who after the breakdown of socialism and the fall of the Iron Curtain, were entering into a new world and a new logic of economy. The presence of foreign artists was a kind of system of measurement of the development of democracy. The way how you look at foreigners, the way how you look at foreign artists gives an exact measurement of the development of democracy. You know, if you say no foreigners and especially no foreign artists, yeah, so as an indicator, it's extremely important. And it means, and that's exactly the logic between non-democratic countries. They don't want to open the game. They don't want to open the can. You know, they see the country as a closed can. We don't open the can. But it means that you are very much depending on the real engagement of a government for culture and democracy. They fit together. In a country where there is no real democracy, there won't be much space for foreign artists.
Okay.
And if you but if you push the program of a residency by inviting foreign artists, you will push also the development of democracy. It works in two directions.
And that's a word that comes from there, probably, which is diversity. And we're this international arts and cultural management and exchange. We're dealing a lot with power relations, north-south, real diversity. How can you describe how it works for a project like this? How a project like this really contributes to diversity, which is a very big concern for cultural policy, I think.
So, all what I say sounds like paradise. Indeed, we are here working with this residency program under extremely positive conditions. We are in a democratic country where democracy is not an empty envelope but is the reality, and we work in a rich country.
Mm-hmm.
It means it's a country where they believe, the government believes, and the parliament believes that they have to push this diversity as a contribution to democracy. I have been traveling a lot and participating in workshops for young people like you who are developing artist residencies in other parts of the world, in Malaysia, Indonesia, in Thailand, or where the notion of democracy is not totally the same like in Germany, where public funding for cultural activities is almost not existing. So, and then I see that cultural residencies, also in their understanding of diversity, is an extremely important activity for entering into cultural life, institutional life, academic life. So this is somehow a kind of extremely flexible or versatile organization that can help young people for self-organization before entering into a system that is more rigid and that is supported by state or by, I don't know, British Council, German Goethe Institute, or French Centre Culturel Français.
Those were the examples I was
Yes.
precisely thinking.
And this is a key for opening the door to international relations, to developing a practice with artists, and to being a player on the ground of a country where you have those foreign institutes. Sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think there are big arguments there and big provocations for discussion. Just into specific topics, but arts residencies. I think that the big discussion we have to put out there is how do we, in other countries, recognize the importance of arts residencies as
a few countries, because all the initiatives of NGOs creating their own residencies, these are individual, private initiatives by single people. Sometimes, you call it a residency and it's just you with the desire of opening your own cultural surrounding by inviting an artist from abroad. Then you say, okay, I find a room, or I even saw residencies where somebody is sharing his apartment.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes very so informal.
I think artist residency shouldn't be thought only as state institutions with a long-term life, mm-hmm. but also as single projects. I saw a project, for example, in a bay. I wasn't there, but somebody presented in a bay on the island of Taiwan, okay. With a very strong level of pollution of the bay, and they decided to create an artist residency around a group of activists who were fighting against the pollution and saying, we have our activist political level of activities, but we should include artists and around this purpose. So you can have a residency for one summer as a kind of festival around the project with activists involved in the political struggle.
So it doesn't have to be permanent structures.
Yes,
there are
exactly.
Multiple levels and we can intervene.
Yeah. And you will find again the same parameters I was mentioning, which is giving time to people to work, having them identifying with your own project, meeting other people and saying, if I wouldn't have participated in this residency, I wouldn't have never met those people. I would have never met this experience.
I will ask one more thing. The word networks, it's something that is very strong, that is very used a lot,
But you need a definition now.
But you need a definition.
Okay.
You need how to work with real, how
Okay.
to create, how to evaluate, how
Okay. A network is a group of people who share common interests, who might have a common experience, and who might be interested and activated in working together or engaging themselves together for a certain purpose. So when you speak about sleepy members of a network, it's always used in a negative way, but we have a network of people we don't activate, but we know if we have a question, we will activate them. So how do you create a network, common interest, and recognition of your belonging to this network is due to, for us, the common experience they have made here. For example, creating a network of alumni in a university would mean that the experience those people did as students in your university was so strong, so positive, and so valuable that they have the feeling that it's valuable to maintain the contact. If this first experience is positive, you can use it to create a network, but if you create a network, you also need to have a reason for this. And the reason is that you have activities where you would like to involve them again.
Right.
So, because the network is not interesting if it's only sleeping. The network is interesting when you activate it.
Enough said. I have to thank you for your time and hope to collaborate in the near future.
Sure.
I know
Sure.
we will. Thank you.
Okay.